George Washington was born in Virginia's Westmoreland County on February 22nd, 1732, the oldest of 6 children of Augustine, called Gus, and Mary Ball. Washington. While moving about eastern Virginia with his family, George attended school for a total of about 7 years. The tall, athletic youth loved to hunt in the woods and ride his horse when he was not in school or working at his farm chores. George's youngest sister died as a baby, and his father died when George was only 11. George helped his widowed mother care for his remaining sister and 3 brothers. In 1746, George wanted to join the English Navy, but his mother refused to grant her 14-year-old son permission because of the hardships of a sailor's life. Since he had a talent for mathematics and map-making, George then decided to become a surveyor. 16-year-old Washington helped survey the Virginia wilderness for a wealthy landowner, and the next year he helped lay out the streets of the new town of Alexandria, Virginia. The youth spent his wages on land, and at the age of 18 he owned about 1,500 acres and was on the road to wealth. Washington began his military career during the French and Indian War from 1754 to 63. Like many other colonists, he fought for Britain and in his struggle with France for control of North America. In fact, the war's first battle occurred on May 28, 1754, when Lieutenant Colonel Washington and his troops defeated the French forces at the Battle of Great Meadows, near what is now Uniontown, Pennsylvania. Washington became known for his bravery during the war. "I luckily escaped without a wound, though I had 4 bullets through my coat and 2 horses shot under me," he wrote about his first battle. Washington's participation in the war, won eventually by England, ended in the late 1758. On January 6th of the new year, he married the widow named Martha Custis. The couple settled in Mount Vernon, George Washington's home in Virginia, Fairfax County. Although George and Martha Washington had no children together, he adopted her children from her earlier marriage, a boy named Jackie and a girl named Patsy. For the next 15 years, George Washington farmed, conducted business deals, and attended bulls and fox hunts like other wealthy Virginia planters. He also served in the Virginia lawmaking body, the House of Burgesses. After the troubles with his mother began, Washington was sent to represent Virginia in the Continental Congress in Philadelphia. There, on June 15, 1775, he was elected Commander-in-Chief of the newly formed Continental Army. Rarely has a commander overcome such a great odds. Washington's largest army during the war contained 20,000 men, compared to the 50,000 for the British. To make things worse, Congress could not afford to arm, feed, or clothe its troops properly. At times, American soldiers went barefoot and raided beehives and shot squirrels to keep from starving. Realizing that his army wasn't yet strong enough to win a big battle, General Washington mostly fought small battles for several years while training his men. Finally, he had the chance to fight in a giant battle for which he was prepared for 6 years. With the French's help, his forces pounded the British at Yorktown, Virginia, in October 1781. His victory won America's independence and secured Washington's reputation as America's greatest hero of the Revolution. Following the signing of the peace treaty in 1783, Washington resigned his command and returned to Mount Vernon. He thought his public life had ended, but a new phase of it was just beginning. Washington was among the American leaders who knew that the country needed a stronger central government. In 1785, he hosted the Mount Vernon Conference, which led to the Annapolis Convention the next year and the Constitutional Convention in 1787. As their first order of business, the delegates to the Philadelphia gathering elected Washington convention president. He said little during the convention, yet his presence lent importance to the meeting and helped minimize disputes. Washington did not make one recommendation. On the last day of the convention, he spoke in favor of Nathaniel Gorham's proposal that the House of Representatives have 1 member for each 30,000 inhabitants. With Washington's backing, the proposal passed unanimously. Washington was pleased with the new governmental framework, calling it the best constitution that could be obtained. His signature on the document was an important factor in eventually being approved with all 13 states. As everyone had expected, Washington was elected to become the nation's first president under the Constitution. While holding office from 1789 to 1797, he helped prevent the states from fighting one another and also kept the nation out of war. George Washington lived less than 3 years after retiring from the presidency. The father of our country died of throat infection at Mount Vernon on December 14, 1799, at the age of 67. In later life, Washington had turned against slavery. According to the terms of his will, his slaves were freed following the death of his wife Martha in 1802. That's George Washington.